play against Breanna Stewart. She goes to the line 14 times. Asia Wilson goes to the line 13 times. And Aaliyah Boston can't play 20 minutes in a game without being on the bench in foul trouble. That's another problem that we're dealing with. But like I said, this year, it's not just Caitlin Clark. If you wear that Indiana Fever jersey, consider it done. The refs are not going to be fair, and they are going to cheat and do whatever it takes to do what the higher-ups say.
Okay, let's stop right there. That last line, the higher-ups say, that's the piece of the puzzle that almost every other channel is ignoring. While the rest of the sports world is talking about Caitlin Clark's injury, the fan boycott, and the so-called disaster at the All-Star game, you and I, the narrative analysts, we know to look for the story behind the story. And what you just heard is the starting point. Because what we all witnessed wasn't just a weekend of chaos, it was a declaration of war. Today, we're connecting the dots to reveal how WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert may have orchestrated this entire crisis as part of a secret strategy to gain the upper hand in the league's biggest battle yet, the upcoming CBA negotiations. This isn't about one injury or one game. This is about power, money, and control. If you're here because you suspect there's a deeper game being played, show us we're on the right track and smash the like button. It tells the algorithm that we're asking the questions that need to be answered. Now, to understand the Commissioner's gambit, we first have to deconstruct the official narrative, the one they want you to believe. The story goes like this. On July 15th, during a win against the Connecticut Sun, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark sustained a right groin injury with less than a minute left in the game. 2 days later, the announcement dropped, and the entire All-Star weekend in her hometown of Indianapolis was thrown into chaos. The financial fallout was immediate and catastrophic. The average ticket price on the resale market, which had been a healthy $262, plummeted by over 75% to just $64 within hours. The minimum get-in price crashed from $121 down to $65. This is the story you've heard everywhere, a story of a fan boycott, a financial disaster, and a league in crisis because its #1 star couldn't play. It's a simple, clean narrative. And that's exactly what makes it the perfect smokescreen for the war happening right behind the curtain. Because here is the first critical piece of data that just doesn't fit the official story. This is the thread that, once you pull it, the entire narrative starts to unravel. While the media and content creators were screaming about a boycott and showing screenshots of the collapsing resale market, they missed what was actually happening inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. According to the league's own official records, the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game was attended by 16,988 fans. It was a sellout. Let that sink in for a moment. How does a game that everyone is calling a financial disaster, where tickets are being dumped for massive losses, end up being a complete sellout? The two realities just don't align. This is the kind of contradiction that the narrative analysts among us live for. It proves we need to filter out the noise and dig deeper. So, who were these 16,988 people? If the fans who had spent hundreds of dollars per ticket, the ones who bought them solely to watch Caitlin Clark, were panic selling, who scooped them up for next to nothing? Were tickets given away to local camps and organizations to avoid the embarrassment of empty seats on television? Were blocks sold off to corporate sponsors at the last minute for pennies on the dollar? The point is, a sellout crowd didn't just magically appear in the middle of a market collapse. This suggests a deliberate, behind-the-scenes effort to manage the optics. The league needed to project an image of success, regardless of the financial reality on the secondary market. And when you see that level of narrative control, you have to ask, what are they trying to hide? This effort to control the narrative becomes even clearer when you analyze the words of the person at the very top, the league's general in this war, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. The stage was set for a real leader to step up. Her league's biggest star was on the sidelines. Her players and coaches, like the Fever's Stephanie White, were openly critical of the officiating that they believed led to Clark's injury. Fans were furious. The media was demanding answers. This was Engelbert's moment to show she was listening, to reassure everyone that she would address the crisis. So, when a reporter directly asked her about the clear disconnect between what players feel and what officials are calling, she was...
I know as a fan of sports for 60 years now, I know that, no one's ever happy with officiating. All sports deal with it, but we're working hard to make sure we're putting the best product out on the court, and our officiating then follows that.
No one's ever happy with officiating. Let's just let that phrase hang in the air. On the surface, this is the kind of tone-deaf corporate non-answer that many have already called out. She called her meetings with frustrated players productive and constructive, which is executive speak for nothing got solved. But if we look at this through the lens of a power struggle, her message takes on a much darker tone. This wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated statement of authority. By reducing specific, sustained complaints about player safety to a generic problem that all sports deal with, she was deliberately invalidating the concerns of her players. She was sending a clear message, not to the fans, but to the players' union. I hear you, and I don't care. Your outrage will not dictate league policy. The league office is in control, not you. This wasn't an attempt to solve a problem. It was a power play designed to put the players back in their box. And that move reveals everything about the real conflict that was unfolding. And what was that real conflict? While everyone was focused on Clark's injury, they missed the single most important act of defiance of the entire weekend, a move by the players that proves this was never just about officiating. Because as Commissioner Engelbert was preparing her dismissive statements, the players were preparing their own response. During the pre-game warm-ups, players wore shirts with a message that was impossible to misinterpret. Pay us what you owe us. This wasn't a subtle hint. This was a coordinated public protest aimed directly at the commissioner and the league office. And the fans in the arena, the ones who supposedly only cared for Clark, joined in. When Cathy Engelbert appeared, chants of "pay them" could be heard from the stands. This is the real story. For the narrative analysts watching, this is the signal that filters through all the noise. The drama around Clark's injury, while significant, became the perfect cover for the players to launch their own offensive. They hijacked the league's biggest marketing event of the year to make a powerful statement about their value. This wasn't just a complaint. It was the players publicly drawing their line in the sand. They were telling the world, and more importantly, the league office, that the coming fight wasn't going to be about foul calls. It was going to be about cold, hard cash and the respect that comes with it. This was the players' opening shot in the war for the CBA. That protest wasn't random. It was timed perfectly, because those players know something that the average fan might not be tracking. They know there's a clock ticking, and it's counting down to the single biggest showdown in the league's modern history. According to league documents, the current collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, is set to expire on October 31st, 2025. For those of you analyzing the narrative, that date changes everything. It's the key that unlocks the entire puzzle. A new CBA means the entire foundation of the league is up for renegotiation. This is where the real power and money are divided. We're talking about the fundamental salary structure and, critically, the players' share of league revenue. This is the heart of the players' "pay us what you owe us" protest. Player travel conditions, a major point of contention that impacts player health and well-being. And most importantly, this is where the rules on player safety and officiating standards are codified. The very officiating crisis that sidelined Caitlin Clark is a bargaining chip in these negotiations. Suddenly, the events of this season don't look like a series of random controversies anymore. They look like strategic posturing. Every press release, every fine handed down for criticizing the refs, every statement from Engelbert, and every unified protest from the players. It's all part of a calculated campaign to build leverage before they walk into that negotiation room. This isn't just a contract renewal. This is a battle that will define the financial future and the core values of the WNBA for the next generation. So if the players' move is to publicly demand their share with protest shirts, what is the commissioner's counter-move? This brings us to the heart of our analysis today. This is the commissioner's gambit. The theory is this: Cathy Engelbert isn't failing to solve the officiating crisis. She is using the officiating crisis as a strategic weapon for the CBA negotiations. Think about it. By refusing to take a strong public stance on protecting Caitlin Clark, the league's single most valuable asset, she allows a narrative of chaos and instability to take root. A narrative that says the WNBA's record-breaking growth is not a stable league-wide phenomenon, but a fragile bubble built around one player who could be taken out at any moment. Why would she do this? Leverage. From a purely corporate negotiation standpoint, this narrative of instability is immensely valuable to the league office. When the WNBPA, the players' union, walks into the negotiation room and says the league is more popular and profitable than ever and we demand a bigger piece of the pie, Engelbert has a powerful counter-argument. She can point to the All-Star weekend and say, are we? Or are we one groin injury away from a total market collapse? She can use the Clark effect not as a sign of the players' collective value, but as a sign of the league's fundamental fragility. It's a cynical, high-risk strategy, but it's one designed to do one thing: suppress player leverage. It's a manufactured crisis designed to keep the players' demands in check and maintain the existing power structure where the league office and the owners hold all the cards. Now, this is where we have to put on our analysts' hats and go one level deeper down the rabbit hole. We are entering the territory of back-channel whispers and online speculation. What I'm about to mention comes from the corners of social media and certain content creators. It has not been substantiated and there is no concrete evidence to prove it. But it is a part of the narrative that is bubbling under the surface. The rumor, as reported in our research file, is that some people are alleging potential financial ties between Commissioner Engelbert and certain referees. To be absolutely clear, this is an unproven allegation. It is pure speculation. But in the world of narrative analysis, the existence of such a rumor is in itself a valuable piece of data. It tells you just how much trust has eroded between the players, the fans, and the league office. Because whether it's true or not, the fact that this theory even exists fits the pattern of the commissioner's gambit. If your goal is to control the narrative and suppress player leverage ahead of a CBA negotiation, what better way to do it than to have influence over the very officiating that is at the center of the controversy? It speaks to the level of control that some believe the league office is trying to exert on the game on the court, not just in the boardroom. Do you think where there's this much smoke there has to be some fire? Or is it all just a distraction? Let us know your theory in the comments below. But this war is not a one-sided affair. While the commissioner is playing a high-stakes game of corporate chess, the players are not just sitting on the sidelines as pawns. They have launched their own coordinated counteroffensive, and they are using every tool at their disposal. Their strategy is to take the fight public. They are using the media to amplify their message. We've seen this from coaches like Stephanie White, who has been vocal all season about the double standard in officiating. She has repeatedly stated there's a level of physicality that they're able to play with against her that other players don't face. By speaking out, they are refusing to let the league office control the conversation. Their second weapon is overt protest. The "Pay Us What You Owe Us" shirts were a masterstroke. It was a visual, undeniable statement of unity and dissatisfaction that hijacked the All-Star broadcast. And their third and perhaps most powerful weapon is alliance building with the fans. They know they can't win this fight alone. When All-Star Game MVP Napheesa Collier was asked about the fan support for their pay demands, she said, "To have the fans backing us, I think it means everything." That's not just a thank you, that's a strategic alignment. The players are actively courting public opinion, framing themselves as the protagonists in this struggle against a detached corporate office. They are turning the league's own audience into an army of advocates for their cause. So, when you connect all the dots, the picture that emerges is undeniable. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Weekend wasn't a PR disaster, it was a battlefield. It was the first open exchange in a Cold War between a new generation of empowered, united players and a league office determined to hold the line on costs and control. On one side, you have the Commissioner's Gambit, a high-risk strategy of controlled chaos, designed to manufacture a narrative of fragility to suppress player leverage. On the other, you have the players' counteroffensive, a public relations campaign to win the hearts and minds of the fans and build a coalition for the fight to come. Every headline, every quote, and every protest was a move and a countermove in a war for the future of the league itself. So, what's your take on all this? Who do you believe is winning this war for the narrative? Is it Commissioner Engelbert with her strategy to control the purse strings, or is it the players with their public campaign for what they're owed? Let us know your verdict down in the comments.
We'll be tracking every move in this CBA chess match all season long. To make sure you're getting the analysis that goes beyond the headlines, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. And finally, if you know another narrative analyst who would appreciate this breakdown, share this video with them. Help us build the community of fans who want to understand the story behind the story.